Thank you to all my channel members, including my fan appreciation level members and my contributor level members, for helping support the YouTube channel. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book The Pagan Night, the first book in the Hallowed War by Tim Akers. This is the first book in a trilogy that he did for Titan Books. It is an epic fantasy. It is also very much spirits and gods and geests focused. So this is not my first Tim Akers read. I read Night Watch by him a couple years ago, and I didn't particularly care for it, unfortunately. I thought it was not great. And then I read Wraithbound, which I thought was better. It still wasn't an amazing book. I just thought, it had some good potential, but, it was just too weird a book for me in some ways. This book, by far, the three, is the best, and really is just designed to be much better for me. So I really did enjoy this book. By the way, I did interview Tim Akers to talk about Wraithbound and Night Watch on the channel, so just look up Tim Akers' interview. You'll see my interview with him. But I knew I wanted to give him another shot, see one of his books that I thought might work better for me. So I picked up the Pagan Night trilogy, and he basically said it's like an epic fantasy, but with more religion-based. And knowing Tim's backstory and knowing my interest in religion, I was like, okay. And boy, was he underselling it, because religion and spirits and stuff are a big part of this book. So this book has two things going for it. It is very unique on one hand and very similar on the other. On the one hand, the uniqueness. This book deals with spirits and what's called geests and gods and that element of religion in a way that no other book series, fantasy series that I've read has. Fantasy books have magic. Fantasy books have religions. Fantasy books have old gods and new gods, all that stuff. But very rarely is the religion and the gods and the spirit stuff so present and such an important part of the magic system itself and such a big part of the story itself and just the whole, really the point of the story. So it's kind of unique on that sense. But the book does have the trappings of epic fantasy that will make it familiar and kind of easy to get into. Particularly, it has the trappings of a series like The Song of Ice and Fire at Game of Thrones. Here's how both are similar, particularly talking about the first book of Game of Thrones. Both books, this Hallowed, first Hallowed War book and the first Game of Thrones book, both of them feature a North versus South conflict. Both of the books feature a leader who travels from the south to the north to try to have the northern leader come to the south. Then something happens in the south, causing the two to go to war. There are old gods in the north and new gods in the south, and the south is trying to impose those new gods on the north, and the north is has been adapting to that for a while. There's also wars and battles that go on, and there's these different houses that you follow, and you follow this the Northern Lord, who has a lot of experience and is a wise character and a good guy, and you follow his son, who is kind of impulsive. I mean, that is just that exact description. You would be like, I don't know whether I'm following the Pagan Night or a Game of Thrones. That description is very obviously both books. But where they diverge is that the Pagan Night only has the Game of Thrones trappings for about 200 pages. This book is split up into 3 parts, and each part's about 200 pages. The first part, very a Game of Thrones-like, very much similarly paced to it. And designed. However, about the midpoint is a major battle sequence that is very unlike anything happens in Game of Thrones. And the major battle sequence in this book is huge, epic, sweeping, and it is it's really long. And I think that if you like reading action, you'll really enjoy this sequence. I'm not the biggest action fan, so I could take it or leave it, but it was well done. Then you have the third part of the book, which is when it gets into the real unique, the third part of this book is when it enters this is unlike anything I've ever read territory. And that is when, the geese and the gods and the spirit stuff has been present the entire book, but it ramps up at the end, and there's negotiations that happen that fail because the spirits show up and all this stuff. and everything goes to heck. And there's also some witches who are involved and some people who are pagans. That's why it's called the Pagan Night, who are trying to impose their version of religion and stop the traditional religious people. And it's just such a unique and fascinating concept. I really don't care about reading about the spirits. I loved the trappings of the first part. The first part was my favorite because it's very much a Game of Thrones like, and I was interested in the political situation and the main characters and seeing their friendships and their connections and their relationships with others. And so I really was engaging with that part of it. And when the book got into the third part, it was a little bit too weird for me, and I like it. It's just I like the story. It's just dial down the spirit stuff. I don't know how the books 2 and 3 are with all that, but still, I'm interested enough that I'm going to continue on next month and read book 2 and hopefully book 3. Um, uh, but I'll say this. This was by far my favorite of the 3 Tim Akers books I've read, and I did enjoy the experience as a whole. I'm just saying parts of it are weird. Doesn't mean it's bad, just saying it's weird. So I did very much enjoy reading The Pagan Night. It is apparently they have new cover art that still is in this style, but is just a little bit different. I don't know why they changed it exactly. So just note that if you're looking to find a copy of this book, it might look a little bit different. But this is from Titan Books, which I believe Steve Saffel was the editor. So anyway, I enjoyed the book. It does have some cool maps, I will say. I did like the maps quite a bit, and the sigils of the houses that were included. So if you've read The Pagan Night by Tim Akers, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.